Welcome everybody to another exciting episode of HomeKit Insider. You've got me, your host as always, Andrew O'Hara, and it was a fun last week. I hope everyone had a good weekend. Everything was fantastic for everyone. We had pretty solid weather here in Ohio up until Sunday, where it got pretty awful, but the Browns did eke out a win, so, I guess we'll take it. We had Harrison just turned 3, actually, which is, it's fairly insane to me because I swear he was just born, and I have no idea how it has been 3 years for him, let alone nearly 4 months for Ellie hanging around. She just seems like she's been here forever as well. It's all super weird to me how much time happens, especially I guess around the fall when so much stuff is going on, including like iPhone and Apple Watch launches, all of that stuff at the same time. Just everything kind of blurs quite a bit. But yeah, we had a big party for Harrison, which was fantastic. We rented out like an ice cream parlor, so him and the children had just free reign on ice cream, unlimited ice cream. Adults had boozy milkshakes, which I also think was great. I loved boozy milkshakes, so it was really fun. Whole family enjoyed everything. I think it was all great. But yeah, so that's what we've kind of been going on, dealing with, in the real world outside of smart home stuff. I did just finishing up a smart home project for Harrison. I'm really excited to tell you guys more about it, but we're going to talk about that a little bit in the future, different episode as I get things actually finished up. But before we get into the news and all the other fun stuff for the episode, a couple programming notes just to mention. So starting up next week's episode, that episode will have guest star Pila CEO and founder Cole Ashman. So Pila is a new energy power station type product. Looks really cool. They're looking at integrations with Matter and things like that. And I think it's going to be a really unique conversation. That's kind of where everything has been really starting to integrate into the power and power monitoring and stuff like that. Not to mention just how useful it is to have backup powers. And Pila is doing stuff that's really different. So I asked them to join the episode, and thrilled that Cole is going to be joining and talking about some of the cool stuff that Pila is doing. So if you guys have questions about smart home and power management stuff, hit me up. You guys know how to do it, but check out show notes, of course, end of the episodes. Give a bunch of tags on where you can find me, but ask any questions that you may have for Pila, CEO and founder Cole Ashman, and I'll do my best to get him in there. Also, the episode on November 17th, that episode will be pushed one day until November 18th. It'll be coming out the morning of November 18th instead of the 17th. It'll be a really great show, so you don't want to miss it. Things will become clear as to why, but wanted to give everybody notice. I know a lot of people listen to the show on their way to work or in the morning those days, and I just won't be there on that Monday. So I don't want anyone going to work and being disappointed that they thought a new episode was going to be dropping. So I'll give you another reminder as we get closer, but just as a heads up for the loyal listeners who were expecting an episode, on November 17th, it will be on the 18th. So yeah, just putting that out there ahead of time for everyone to be aware. Okay, let's get into the news. Apple TV is going to be a big topic starting out because a lot of things happened. Apple has really been dropping the Apple TV news. Starting off with just the most basic, which was Apple is doing a rebrand of Apple TV. Yeah, it is now no longer Apple TV Plus, it is just Apple TV. And yeah, the memes have been rolling. You can watch Apple TV on your Apple TV in the Apple TV app. And the naming is questionable. We got the third betas of iOS 26.1 and tvOS 26.1, and it is still called Apple TV Plus in all of those places. I really thought after they made that announcement, we would get that third beta and Apple would start to remove that branding, but no, it is still Apple TV Plus everywhere. The only way or only place that I saw that they've changed the naming is in the T&C's terms and conditions of Apple TV. That is the only spot that has been changed from Apple TV Plus to just regular Apple TV. Now, Apple is literally describing this as a vibrant rebrand, which I think is really like it doesn't seem vibrant. I don't know what makes it vibrant of dropping the plus at the end, but that is how they are pitching it, which is a little interesting to me. On top of that, Apple did give us a new Apple TV icon, though, which is really nice. So this did arrive with that tvOS 26.1 and iOS 26.1 beta 3. So it did come out with that update, but it's still in beta, and it does look a lot more, I guess, vibrant. Like, there's now a bunch of colors behind the logos for like Apple TV. It looks really nice. I like it. It's poppy. It's colorful. A lot of people are saying Apple needs to bring more of these colors back to other app icons. Agree in some sense, but I think it really makes sense with Apple TV. So I do like it. So new icons are coming for Apple TV, but it does make me wonder about that naming. Is Apple going to keep the actual like set-top box Apple TV? Like, or is it going to come up with the new name for this? I mean, I've seen so many people pitching ideas on Twitter for this. People have been sending messages, oh, it should be called this, it should be called this. Apple TV like Ultra was thrown around. It could be Apple TV Pro was like a suggestion someone had. I heard, personally, I think if Apple could do like Apple TV Streamer, right? Because that's basically what Google is doing with their naming scheme, and this is literally just a streaming box for Apple TV and other stuff at the same time. But I could see the Apple TV Streamer as being a possible name here. I don't know. There's a lot of different ways that Apple could go here, but I do think it is weird having them all be the same name. Now, Apple disagrees. I believe it might have been Eddy Cue who was like, let's just do it. Like, that was literally their thought on this whole process. Like, everyone already calls it Apple TV, which, fair, Apple. Everyone does just call it, oh, have you seen this on Apple TV? I have. It's a very good show. I like it a whole lot. So, yeah, everyone just calls it Apple TV. But it's just confusing with the hardware at the same time. Q, I believe, was like pitching it as like, well, technically the streaming box is the Apple TV 4K, so it's not just. I'm like, okay, but if you're going to say people call Apple TV Plus just Apple TV, I'm going to argue that people just call it the Apple TV, not the Apple TV 4K. So I don't know. You can't have them both, in my opinion. But hey, that's just me. Either way, I think the name makes sense. New icons look good. I'm wondering what else is going to come with this rebrand, because right now, that's all we got. Now, streaming business does seem to be doing decently well for Apple. They actually had some people who I can't even see. I didn't even write in my notes who was on the podcast, but Apple went on the Matt Belloni podcast. It's The Town podcast, very popular in Hollywood. Actually, Matt Belloni had a little cameo on Apple's studio show doing his podcast. So now it's funny that I believe it was Eddy Cue who was on Matt Belloni's podcast, The Town podcast, to talk about Apple TV and everything. So here's a little bit of a quote from that interview. So talking about just like performance of streaming business, things like that. You say, look, it's a lot harder than it looks. He said, of building a subscriber base with original shows and movies without a legacy library of content. Adding, I didn't forecast being out of production for a year and a half. I didn't forecast a 9-month streak from that standpoint. So we were a little further behind than where we'd like to be, but where we are today is great. So they are talking about Apple's rumored market share of streaming compared to the likes of Disney, Hulu, or Disney Plus, Hulu, Netflix, things like that. Apple TV is significantly smaller. A lot of people in the industry say they're looking at about 45 million subscribers for the actual paying subscribers for Apple TV. And by the way, there are differences when you're looking at different streaming numbers. You can be looking at two different things. There's your actual subscriber numbers, but then there's also your essentially the market share of ratings. or where people are spending their eyeball time. So even if you have a good number of subscribers, doesn't mean people are necessarily watching it as much. So people who subscribe to Netflix, in my opinion, binge a whole lot more, because not only are seasons dropping kind of all together, but they have just so much content, and a lot of it's kind of dumb background content. You can just turn it on and let it run while you're folding laundry, cleaning, doing whatever, versus Apple TV that feels a little bit more higher end content. Like, I don't binge really anything on Apple TV. There's not enough shows, nothing's long enough. Like, I mean, even the shows that I like, there's a lot of shows that I like, but anything that's been on for a while, like Mythic Quest or Ted Lasso, there's not that many episodes or that many seasons to really just even go back and rewatch them for significant amounts of time. So if you're looking at the actual like market share of where people spend their eyeball time, a huge amount is going to those like Netflix and Disney. But Apple seems to be doing well. They say they are doing quite a bit more, significantly more than that, when talking about that 45 million subscriber headcount. Of course, Apple does not reveal actual subscribers for Apple TV, so we're probably never going to really know other than these general estimates, and they are saying it is a lot higher than the numbers that are being reported. Just for comparison, Netflix is sitting around 300 million worldwide. So it's interesting to see where Apple kind of lines up there. I mean, at 45 million, you're looking at about 1/6 of what Netflix has. But when they say significantly more, how much more is that? Is that like 55, 60, 100? I don't know, but they seem to be doing pretty decent. On top of that, Apple has other content news. They are offering MLS Playoffs for free on Apple TV. No like season pass subscription thing required for that. Apple is also, as rumored, the new home to Formula One racing. This is a huge deal, $750 million deal for this thing. Pretty intense. This is a huge deal for Apple. Not only is Apple adding F1 racing to the platform, it is going to be free for Apple TV subscribers. So if you are paying for Apple TV, you can now get Formula One included in that at no additional cost. If you are not paying for Apple TV, there will be limited free content like practice races and things like that that people can watch. But yeah, it seems like a huge deal. Overall, it is a 5-year deal, so as long as nothing breaks down, Apple could be the home to F1 racing in the US for at least the next 5 years. Okay, one last piece of news for Apple TV, which I didn't even have in my show notes, but I remembered it because holy crap, was there a ton of Apple TV news that happened this past week that wasn't new hardware. Apple has also announced that they are partnering with NBC Universal for a bundle of Apple TV and Peacock. Thank goodness. Like, yes, I really like Peacock. There's a lot of really good shows there. I mean, you get your usuals like Parks and Recreation, Office, Community, 30 Rock, a bunch of those that are on there that are very solid, like kind of like the goats of like workplace comedies and stuff. But there's also a bunch of other really good original content that I've seen lately. I've really enjoyed watching Twisted Metal on there. That's been pretty entertaining. The Paper was fantastic. I really liked The Paper. I'm so excited that there's a season 2 of that. I want to go and rewatch season 1 all over again already. They just did a fantastic job. Yeah, this is a really cool deal where you'll be able to get a really good discount, like 30 to 35%, I believe around 30% if you are just an Apple TV subscriber, and then about 35% or so if you are an Apple One subscriber and have Apple TV included part of that bundle. There will be additional offers for like the premium and the premium plus tiers of Peacock, so you can go with like the commercial route or commercial free. But it really good option there, and that is launching, I believe, this week as you are listening to this podcast. Okay, that is it on the Apple TV front. Apple did have some product releases happen last week, or at least announcements that we were releasing this week, and some pretty good stuff in the mix. A lot of the stuff was previously rumored, and everything kind of came out as we expected. So there's a new version of the Vision Pro running the M5 chip. Very excited about that one. There's a new entry-level 14-inch MacBook Pro, keeping the same redesign everything internal is the same, but Apple is getting, the new M5 chip on the inside. Then we have the new iPad Pro. The iPad Pro was probably the most substantial of all the rumored upgrades this year, because not only did it get the M5 chip on the inside, it also got Apple's new N1 and C1X networking chip and modem. I started to say R1, like Apple's reality chip or whatever that it uses in Vision Pro, but it's the C1X modem that is in the iPhone 17 and iPhone Air, whatever it is, alongside of the N1, its new modem that is in the entire iPhone 17 and iPhone Air lineup. So both those new chips are new. What is notable for the smart home user is that Apple has included that N1 chip, which brings along Thread. Apple will officially be supporting Thread on the new iPad Pro, which is going to be super useful. Obviously, you're going to have faster network connecting. It's not going to be the same as, it's not going to act like, as a Thread border router or as a hub or anything like that. Apple has largely done away with that, probably to replace it with some sort of smart home display, as I can't stop talking about on the show. But yeah, the new iPad Pro will be the first iPad to kind of officially support Thread. Now, the only thing that I kind of have left with all of Apple's news this week is, where's the new smart home hardware, Apple? Where is it? Where's the new Apple TV and the new HomePod Mini? Both of which were rumored to be releasing here in October. Now, it is still October. There is still time for it to happen. Apple could release it later today. Here, it's Monday the 20th right now. Apple could release it later this morning, this afternoon, whenever it happens to be for those that are listening to the podcast this day. But I don't know. There has not been anything concrete. Gurman has not come out with anything from Bloomberg saying that, yes, these are still on track for this year. Nothing like that. We basically just saw inventory really dipping on both products at Apple stores, which is usually one of the telltale signs that a refresh is imminent, as Apple keeps very tight eyes on its supply chain. It does not want to flood its stores with a bunch of product that is about to be outdated. So when products start to become scarce, they're no longer on store shelves. It usually means a new one can be near imminent. And yeah, Apple had all these other new products that just dropped all at the same time, but there was no Apple TV 4K, no Apple TV streamer, and no new HomePod Mini. So yeah, we're left kind of just speculating and spinning, kind of as we were last week. I know we talked about it on last week's episode, if we were going to get new ones this week or not. I was hoping that we were, but I guess not. Maybe we'll get them this week. It seems like a massive amount of news for Apple TV for a new one not to have been announced, but that's the boat that we are in. So yeah, stay tuned. If there's a new one this week, I will be very excited to talk about it on next week's episode. But I guess we'll have to wait and see. Okay, we have a bunch of other news this week that is not directly from Apple, so let's go ahead and take our break and thank our sponsors. Starting out, we have Shopify. It's crazy because I just had my aunt in town this past week, and she was talking about how she used to work for this little shop, a little boutique place, and they were starting to try to sell online. And next thing I know, she's like, oh yeah, they're using this platform. It's really cool. It does all this stuff. And I'm like, what is it? Shopify. It was Shopify. And it's one of those things where I love seeing a sponsor in the real world, someone using and being impacted by this in the real world. It's not just me spouting you guys here through a microphone and a camera saying Shopify is cool. It's cool to see these things validated in the real world where people are using them, enjoying them, and getting the benefit out of them. And with Shopify, it is exactly that. It is really amazing to me to see something like a small little boutique shop with a few employees using basically the same platform as these massive companies. I mean, Allbirds, Rothy's, Brooklinen, so many in the tech space that we talk about all the time. Nomad, Moment, 12 South, all you, Bird Buddy, I think was in the list. I can't even remember anymore because it seems like all of them just use Shopify because it is so convenient. When you're starting off, it can handle everything that you don't know or don't want to handle, right? Like you're starting a business. Do you want to spend your time worrying about trying to program a website or hire somebody to program a website? Do you want to worry about taxes and where you're going to ship to and how to calculate shipping costs and all of these things? You probably don't, because it's just kind of meaningless, not meaningless, but menial, meaningless. I don't know. It's work that you don't want to be doing because you can focus on other things that actually are more impactful to your business. Shopify can handle all this for you. They can spin you up a website and get you selling within like an afternoon, basically. They have so many templates you can get started with. Boom, you're good to go. But as you grow, you can completely customize the experience. Jump in there and start adding all your own plugins and just completely customize it to your business. Like, it is amazing how much of this platform can scale from a tiny little shop with one or two people to these much larger companies. And I also think it's telling that people or companies in the tech space use Shopify. Like, they're techie people. They should know how to do website things. And of all the different ones that are out there, they gravitate to Shopify. I think it's fantastic. Plus, as consumers, you're going to love a Shopify website. They're always smooth, easy to use, very easy to see what is in your cart. And then there's that just extremely easy checkout process where you can use Shop Pay, Google Pay, Apple Pay. You can use like PayPal, enter in your credit card information, whatever you want to do. They support it. It's just such a fast checkout process. And then your order instantly kicked over to the Shop app, shows up in Apple Wallet. You can track it from there. And the Shop app is its own just cool separate tangent of a thing because you can use that for your own shopping. You can get discounts on things and coupons and shop and it uses like AI to recommend other stores that it think you may like. And I 100% have used that to help find gifts for people. That's my own secret as we head into the holidays. The Shop app, it's really great to find like products and businesses that will connect with you based on what you like and what you've bought. It's awesome. So turn your big business idea into with Shopify on your side. Sign up for a $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/HomeKit. Go to shopify.com/HomeKit. That's all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/HomeKit. Thank you, as always, to Shopify for sponsoring the episode. Now let's talk about CleanMyMac. I have been a CleanMyMac user for years, like literally many years. So it's always great when a product that I'm using in the real world then becomes a sponsor on the podcast. Like, that is exactly what I want to see. That is like a win-win ideal situation for me. And when they sent over the brief for the new stuff for doing it on the podcast, I was blown away because I didn't even know some of these things were things that you could do. So the new feature that I found here that I just think is brilliant is called Cloud Cleanup. Yeah, that's right. Not only can CleanMyMac help you with cleaning your Mac, like locally, it can get rid of like language files you don't need. It can help you find large files on your machine that you don't need that are taking up space, and you can get rid of those. It can help you install like, maintenance scripts on your computer to keep everything running smooth, like all sorts of different things that are fantastic on their own, right? You can absolutely use all of those all the time. But Cloud Cleanup literally is designed to work with iCloud, OneDrive, and Google Drive. It'll scan your account on those platforms and find those large files, those space wasters, and synced and unsynced files, and then help you get rid of them. So if you got like duplicates, all these things going on that you don't need anymore, like me and my wife, we have over 3 terabytes now of iCloud storage, and I'm willing to bet we don't need all of that. So Cloud Cleanup can easily go through, scan that, find what is taking up that space, and help us get rid of it, save us money in the long term by cutting down on the amount that we're paying for cloud storage. It's really helpful. And that's, again, just one feature of CleanMyMac. There's Smart Care that's going to help you optimize your Mac, just really easy to use. There's Cleanup and MyClutter. There is a little menu bar app that's very handy that you can track your battery drains and overheating and all these helpful tips to help you with your Mac. There's Moonlock, anti-malware engine, and Space Lens, which, again, another favorite feature that gives you that high-level look at your Mac, where all your storage is going to. I mean, you're picking up a Mac. Did you get 512, a terabyte, or did you get stuck with 256 gigs of storage, and now you're wondering why there's no more storage left on your Mac, and you gotta find out where all that storage went? Space Lens can help you find out exactly where that is. Plus, can help with messages. Not everything deserves eternal storage. CleanMyMac's Cloud Cleanup helps you choose what of those messages gets saved and gets rid of. And it's just generally really helpful. I have used CleanMyMac for years, and I am stoked that they have been sponsoring the podcast, so I'm always so excited to talk about them. So go ahead and get tidy today. Try 7 days free and use my code HOMEKIT for 20% off at clnmy.com/HomeKit Insider. Okay, one more just to get through here. Let's thank Function Health again. I told you my friend has been doing this. I saw her over the weekend at Harrison's party, and she told me that she had a bunch more results rolling into her Function Health results, and she loves it. I just think that is the coolest thing. What a great group of sponsors for this episode, with everything just having those real-world tiebacks between Shopify, CleanMyMac, and Function. Like, I just have the best sponsors for this podcast. But yeah, so Function Health, if you guys are not aware, it's just the way that you can choose to take control of your health. Like, you can do things at your own pace, like at home. Get a smart scale, get your Apple Watch, track your sleeping, track your eating, use apps, like all those types of things. But there's only so much you can kind of do there on your own, and typically you'd have to go schedule and see a doctor, so you got to get into one and hope things are covered by insurance and they're not jerks about things, and then you got to get into labs, get your lab work done, then wait for your doctor to look at your lab work. Or my favorite, it shows up in my chart and just barely says anything. It's like, your CPT level is 7, and I'm like, that is a number and a thing, and I don't know what either of them mean. And then I'm left Googling or asking ChatGPT what it is that it is and if it's a problem. It's not good medical advice, and I usually have to wait for a doctor to analyze those things, and it's just frustrating. Like, the whole kind of just system of that is bad. Function, the reason that I chose it is because you can just do it yourself. You just sign up online and you're done. And then you just make an appointment. You go in. I got my blood drawn. Literally the next day, there was barely even any waiting. There was a ton of labs around that supported it. So I just literally made an appointment for the next day, did my blood draw, went in and did the second blood draw. And within a few days after that, I started getting results showing in the Function app. It started to show me my results and then what they meant. It would give me a value and then say, is it high, is it low, is it normal? And it would explain in plain English what that means. That's amazing. It just tells you without, it has just real world stuff on there, and I like that a lot. On top of that, once you get all of these results in there, you can then get an actual doctor's synopsis of your overall health based on these. You can get your biometric age and how that compares to your real age. Are you aging poorly or well? And then you can see the stuff over time. You go back and do more blood work, and then you can see after 6 months, a year, have you improved? Have you gotten worse? How has your health changed? And you can see what you need to kind of improve to help you feel better. I adjusted my daily multivitamin based off of this. Function isn't going to sell you some special vitamin to make you feel better. They're just going to give you information and empower you to own your own health and do what you want. I really enjoyed it. I think my new vitamins are making me feel better. I am less tired. It's been great. So yeah, I 100% recommend trying this out. Learn more and join using my link. Function is a near 360 view to see what's happening in your body, and my first 1,000 listeners get a $100 credit towards their membership. Visit www.functionhealth.com/HomeKit or use gift code HomeKit100 at sign up to own your own health. Back to the news. Sonos has had a few updates come out recently. I have fallen off on checking on some of these, and then I noticed there was a couple big updates recently that I wanted to call out. So first, they've added a new feature that we used to have. If you're controlling media from the Sonos app, you can now jump to the position you are in the queue when you open the queue. This was removed more than a year ago with that redesign. This is very handy. I just love that you can view the queue, view your position in the queue. It's really nice. So if you had this feature before and you liked it, it has finally returned. And they did call this out in the release notes, I believe, in September, middle of September or so. Then recently, they've added TruePlay support for the iPhone 17 line. And I did not see this in the release notes. I actually found this over on Reddit. And I was surprised because it usually takes a hot second for Sonos to add support for new iPhones. Sometimes it'll take until Christmas time before I get the updates that add TruePlay support. Now, with the Sonos speakers, like you usually have two options, right? You have like the normal mode where they will like learn on their own using their own onboard speakers for positioning and tuning. But then you can use like the advanced version that actually uses the ones on your phone. So you'll go sit in like your favorite chair, hold your phone, run TruePlay tuning. It's going to play a bunch of tones, listen to them on your iPhone, and then it's going to adjust those acoustics based on your actual room from where you are, not where like their microphones are picking it up and trying to tune. It'll be from like your position. So this is a much more advanced tuning option, but it is very specific to the phones because of how precise it is. And fortunately this year, Sonos was on it. They were quick. They've added support for the iPhone 17 line already. Now, I have seen some people say they have not been able to find this, so I don't know if it's like rolling out in waves, but I have seen it, so it seems like it is there for some people. If you aren't seeing it, it should be there very, very soon. So yeah, let me know if you spot it in the comments on the YouTube video, or just let me know over on Twitter. So that's great. Sonos, a few solid updates coming out. Now I just want to see some new hardware. Then we have Eve. Eve is actually celebrating their 10th anniversary, which to me is crazy. Like, I know I've talked about it on the show in the past, but like I got their original products. Like, they were some of, if not the first to support Apple Home. And they've basically been in Apple stores ever since. And yeah, so now they are 10 years old. I still use their contact sensors. I did upgrade. I still have the motion. I still have everything. There's nothing that I don't have. I take that back. I lost my Eve weather. Yeah, when I was in, it was like 3 places ago at this point. But I was in an apartment and I had the Eve weather outside, of course, for outdoor weather monitoring. And when I moved, it was literally the only thing on my patio, and I just had it kind of tucked away, and I left it. So I did lose that, but I have the rest of that original Eve lineup. So the contact sensor, the Eve Energy, and the Eve Motion, I want to say, were the other products that were in like the original launch. But I love that they still work. Now, they have done a lot with like some of the newer designs. They look a lot nicer, more compact. We've moved Eve has changed a lot. Like, of course, they've always been like Apple Home, formerly HomeKit first. Then they moved and started adopting Thread very early and Matter very early. Now they're a little bit more open. Like, they have their app over on Android now, and they've done a whole lot. So it's really cool to see how much Eve has changed. I'm eager to see still what they have cooking. Now they've kind of been acquired, right? And we haven't seen too many new products from them. So hopefully more things coming. But they do have some discounts to celebrate their 10-year anniversary. These work until the 23rd. So you had a couple days. You can get 15% off $99 with Eve 15, EVE15, all capital. You can get 20% off of $199 with Eve 20, and 25% off purchase of $299 with Eve 25. So you've been planning like some big overhaul project. You want to spend like $300 and you can save 25% on that. It's pretty solid. Yeah, just go ahead, check that out. Go up on the website, use Eve15, Eve20, and Eve25 for purchases of $99, $199, and $299 to save 15, 20, or 25%. That brings us to Flic. Flic, F-L-I-C, has a new app update that they have just launched. So this is a big new overhaul, redesign app update. One of the big changes is revamped support for Sonos. That is one of the big changes here. But this is really kind of in preparation for the launch of the Flic Duo. I got to try the Flic Duo out at CES, and it's a pretty cool little button. Like, Flic makes smart buttons. That's been like their thing. And the Duo is 2 buttons on a single controller, but it's more than just putting 2 buttons together. This thing has a ton of options. Now, if you want to just mount it on your wall and use it as like an on and off switch for your average user, that's cool. It'll work just like that. It's going to be fine. But for those that are like, you want to get fancy, you can get fancy, like real fancy. I'm not talking about just like, because you can still do like the press and hold, things like that. No. even double press. That's not even fancy. This thing has like an accelerometer and like touch sensitivity. So you can take this thing, press a button, and then twist it like left and right. So you could use that if you're pointing at a Sonos or something, you use it to adjust a Sonos with the button and then press it or twist it to adjust volume up and down. Or point it at your smart lights and use it again to brighten it up, brighten it down, or cycle through colors maybe. You can also do swipes, so you can actually like press and hold or just swipe on one and swipe left and right to cycle through various colors that you may have programmed on it. That is really, really cool. So you can get all granular with this, and there's even like gesture supported, and you can learn it through the app. So you can like set it up through the app, create your own gestures, and then it'll learn that and assign it to a command. So they get really fancy, maybe a little too fancy sometimes because it can be a lot with all of that, but they still seem very cool. They come in white and black versions. The first 2 batches have sold out, but they do have their 3rd batch up for pre-order now that's supposed to be shipping inside of Q4. So hopefully, not terribly late, depending on when their Q4 actually runs. But it seems like a super solid button. They also have a bunch of new accessories to go along with it, between like little clips and magnetic plates. You can like put it into different spots. They sell sticker sheets that you can cover this thing in to help you identify what they are being used for, which is also helpful, and supports a bunch of different platforms. Of course, it's going to support Apple Home. They have supported HomeKit basically since the beginning, but it supports Amazon Assistant, SmartThings, LifeX, Philips Hue, Sonos, IKEA smart home stuff, Spotify. We talked about that a little bit. Homey, Nanoleaf, IFT, Zapier, Chromecast, Slack, Matter is the big one there. So a ton of different smart home platforms here. Now, it depends on which one you're using with if you need a hub to go along with it. You can use like the Duo and the button, but there's not as many controls, and specifically HomeKit will not work when using just the button. You can get the Flic Hub Mini and use it with like the Twist, which is another product they have, like a little knob, and you can use it with Matter that way and SmartThings. But if you want to add it directly into Apple Home, you would need the Flic Hub LR. That is their more fancy hub. It's a little bit bigger, but it also has like audio output on there, and I believe Ethernet might be on that one as well. Plus it supports 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi and an IR port for controlling TVs. So it is a helpful device because you can put it somewhere and then use that little IR repeater to control things. So that is very cool, very nice. But yeah, so a new app update to go along with the launch of the Flic Duo. I'll have more about the Flic Duo at some point because I'm for sure going to be trying it out. Then we have TP-Link. TP-Link did a Wi-Fi 8. We have barely even gotten Wi-Fi 7, and now we're talking Wi-Fi 8. This is really cool. This is amazing. So TP-Link basically is the first company, they say, to successfully validate both the Wi-Fi 8 beacon and data throughput, confirming the viability of the technology, making a critical milestone in Wi-Fi 8 development. Poised to deliver the ultra-reliable wireless performance that the industry will require as more devices and bandwidth-intensive applications come online. I'm very much paying attention to Wi-Fi at the moment. We have the new Wi-Fi Matter certification program that was launched, so we're going to start to see like Matter certified routers coming out. So it's going to be a combination for like my next router. I'm like, I have Wi-Fi 7 now. I for sure want Wi-Fi, whatever the next thing's going to be. I don't know if it's going to be 8 or if there's going to be something in between 7 and 8. Right, because we got Wi-Fi 6 and then 6E, but that was the follow-up there to Wi-Fi 6. So we'll see where that kind of progression goes. But my guess is I'm going to want like a Wi-Fi 8 and Matter-enabled router. Personally, I actually have family friends have gotten a robotic vacuum cleaner. They cannot get it to work, and the reason why is the 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi, and it's a massive problem. So it's like, okay, what routers do they have? They have the Google Nest mesh routers. And the thing is, with these, you cannot break out the 2.4 as a separate network. So like, not only can you not turn off the 5 gigahertz, which fine. They're going to use the 5 gigahertz because they need that for like the wireless backhaul between the nodes, but you can't even like break out the 2.4 as a separate network for things that need 2.4, and I think it's so idiotic. So I spent a couple hours over there the other day trying to get this vacuum cleaner to connect to the 2.4 gigahertz network. I went out in the yard because in my mind, 2.4, longer range, so the 5 gigahertz is going to stay in the house. I can get further away, wait until we got like 1 bar on the Wi-Fi signal, then go ahead and try to onboard the vacuum. Nope. Didn't work either. So that didn't work. I tried to make a hotspot on my phone with the same name as the home Wi-Fi. So I turned off the home Wi-Fi, tried to connect to that. That didn't work. It just like didn't discover the network. I don't know why like a hotspot doesn't show up as a regular Wi-Fi network for this vacuum, but yeah, so people still, like in this day and age, have problems connecting smart home devices to Wi-Fi. So as we are looking at Wi-Fi 8, I know I'm going to want a Matter-enabled router, and I'm curious how that stuff is going to unfold. Not necessarily going to be a TP-Link one, but they are clearly pushing hard on the Wi-Fi 8 stuff, which is cool to see. So that's really awesome. Lastly, to round out the show, a couple things from users. One, I talked about a smart lock a bit ago that was supposed to be going offline because the company was folding, and they said all their servers were going offline, all the support would stop. Fortunately, didn't happen. The lock continued to work, so at least through Apple Home and HomeKit. Server-side stuff, not going to be a thing, but I'm glad that the Apple Home stuff continued to work just fine. I also had someone reach out asking about video doorbells. They're still using an Atmos doorbell, which, man, talk about a blast from the past on a company that I used to love. And I just have not heard anything that they're doing in many years. Their weather station is fantastic. I do still have that to measure rain and wind and all those things. But yeah, they do a video doorbell, and I liked it. It was a little bit on the expensive side, but it had so many options between local storage to cloud storage to things like that. I thought they did an amazing job. But they have cameras that were like slow to roll out to Apple Home support. I don't know even know if they ever did. And yeah, they were just really great, and now I just haven't heard about them in a very long time. So this listener reached out saying that they were tired of theirs because it was taking too long to load each time, so they wanted to know if I had suggestions for a faster one. I know I had talked about a faster one at some point on the show, which is true. So currently I'm using the Aqara G4, and there's 2 different versions. I can't remember, G410 maybe is the other one. I'm not sure, but there's a couple different versions of them. One can act as like a Matter hub, has a larger field of view, and it is the one that I would prefer. I will link the appropriate one in the show notes. But I've been using that, and it has been great. It has been super reliable, very, very fast, great field of view. I like that it's also battery powered, so you don't have to have it wired. You can wire it in if you want to. If you have the electrical hookup there, you're good to go. But if you do not, you can just have a wireless doorbell anywhere, and it just runs off of 6 AA batteries and then sends everything back to the little chime that is plugged in on the inside. The chime acts as that Matter hub, as the Aqara hub, has a little micro SD slot on there so you can save local video files there. You can also use round the clock recording to any NAS that you have that supports that. Just some really cool stuff with it. But the biggest thing is it's very fast. So like Harrison outside, I love being able to pull this up super, super quick. I've been very impressed with the car lately, so yeah, you can check it out. Put a link for it in the show notes. If you have any other questions for me for future episodes, be sure to let me know, especially for Cole from Pila Energy on next week's episode. If you want to watch me ride solo through this episode, you can go ahead and go to youtube.com/HomeKit Insider and watch the video version of this. You can also leave a comment there with any questions or thoughts that you guys have. You can also reach out to me directly at andrew@appleinsider.com. You can also find me on Twitter at Andrew_OSU. You can go ahead and give the podcast a 5, 10, 100-star rating on your podcast player of choice. Otherwise, I'll catch you guys all in the next episode.